What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28. That's the one and the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, happy Friday, dude. We're kind of wound up already this morning. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, this guy started playing Rainbow Six yesterday and has not stopped since.
Man,
he just keeps getting more energy.
Dude, last night I was on a roll for kills. It was awesome. It was one of those things.
Hey, Hood went pretty well too.
It did. Yeah, we're back on Hood. Well, we'll be getting into a lot more of that today over on the official ITG Twitter Spaces, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure you swing by and hang out with us. We're going to be talking about everything we are playing, delving deep into what we've been playing, and maybe highlighting some of the hottest topics around the news. But you can join us live right now over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, are stealth games making a comeback?
Oh, I really hope so.
4 Syphon Filter games are coming to PlayStation. What does that mean for the future of the franchise? Halo Infinite Season 2 is almost here, and we have some new details on the mini battle royale. We'll talk about that one in a second. And Naughty Dog could be working on another Uncharted game. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go, Scott. Let's get going.
I have questions on that topic, but I'm gonna have to compartmentalize myself here.
Yo, I'm so wound up today. Let's go. 4 classic Syphon Filter games have been rated for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. This was actually hit up to us by our good friend Northern Nerdcast. 4 Syphon Filter games have been rated for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in Korea. As spotted by Gemetsu, they are Syphon Filter, Syphon Filter 2, Syphon Filter Dark Mirror, and Syphon Filter Logan's Shadow. Scott, have you played Syphon Filter?
Unfortunately, I have not. I have not played a single Syphon Filter game.
Wow.
Sony is something I've been too far away from.
Okay, so here's how it goes. Developed by Sony Bend Studio, the first entry of the third-person shooter stealth series was released on PlayStation 1 in 1999. That's right. Its sequel arrived the following year on the same console. Then Ben also developed in 2006 Syphon Filter Dark Mirror, in 2007 Syphon Filter Logan's Shadow on PSP. That's a shout out to an old one, dude. And that's probably why you haven't really seen anything since. It's been so long since we've seen a Syphon Filter game. I played it like in 1999, dude. That's when I played it. Like it's been so long. I barely remember that game, but I know it was a ton of fun because I'm a big stealth guy. I love stealth games, and it was one of those. You know, you kind of got into the Metal Gear. That's where Metal Gear started for me. It was on PS1, but then after that, hungering for a stealth game was like, what's next? And Syphon Filter fell into that lineup for me to get into more stealth game, and dude, it was cool.
Oh, for me in stealth games, it was all first person stuff right off the start.
Thief.
Yeah, Thief would have been a big one. Splinter Cell. You don't really count that as first person, but
no,
it seemed that was the route I went down instead of Syphon
That's
Filter.
fair.
Metal Gear was quite later on for me.
Sure.
I didn't get into Metal Gear Solid probably until like 2004-ish.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I was when did the first Metal Gear Solid game come out? Do we know?
The first Metal Gear entirely must be in the late 80s, but Metal Gear Solid though.
I'm looking it up too. 1998, September 3rd. There we go. Metal Gear Solid came out. And dude, I played it. Like I remember playing it. A buddy of mine's like, Drew, you gotta play this game. And then that is right then and there.
Drew, you gotta play this game. What's it about? Yes.
You pretty yeah, we still don't know to this day. It's one of those games that it changed my entire career path, right? Metal Gear set me on a whole other path to the video game industry, and this is why we're here today, or at least why I'm here today. And stealth games is one of those genres I just fell in love with, and Metal Gear changed everything. Dude, I played Mario back in the day, right? We all played Super Mario, but it was the way Kojima portrayed this game with Metal Gear really took things on a whole other path. But Scott, getting back to Syphon Filter, turning it back around, stealth games, are they back? Because we've seen a big hiatus on stealth games over the last little while, and they're slowly starting to creep back into the foray of things. And I was a little surprised to see that they're bringing over, these are classics. Dude, PS2. Like, do you really want to play Syphon Filter? And here's why it's lined up. This is what's going on. It's expected that the games rated in Korea will be made available as part of Sony's expanded PlayStation Plus service, which was announced in March for PS4 and PS5. Launching in June and structured across 3 payment tiers, it will combine existing subscription offerings, PS Plus and PS Now, phasing out the branding of the latter. So there's a whole bunch of tiers and which way you can go and stuff like that. But it sounds like this is where Syphon Filter's coming in, Scott, is that they're going to bring over these classics. I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, these will not stand the test of time.
No, I've seen a lot of people speak about the Grand Theft Auto trilogy for the same issue. You can remaster it, but that's not quite good enough because it's a 20-year series potentially.
Clunky.
So
It feels clunky.
yeah, I feel like
right?
it's going to have the same issue here. But then again, Knights of the Old Republic was just put on the Switch, so I'm not
Fair enough.
sure if that line of thinking holds up.
Well, that and Star Wars Force Unleashed as well, right?
Yeah.
That came over. So there are opportunities to bring beloved classics that we played so long ago. But how many people actually, I'm really curious, right? How many people jump back in? I'm typically on the next new kind of game and always moving forward, and very little do I ever kind of trail back. Dude, I do go back to some of the Splinter Cell games, I'll be honest. That is one franchise I do jump back into every now and then.
I did take a trip back to Dunwall recently, and
Oh,
that was a
nice.
good one. Of course, not nearly as old of a game, but
No.
Dishonored was still fun to circle back on.
Well, and it was up-res too, right? It was made for the next generation of consoles with what's that, smart delivery system and things like that, right? So it was also enhanced for the next gen of Xbox. At least that's what we're playing it on, right?
It was an entire different version, and I know that because it comes along with a secondary achievement list.
Oh, nice.
Which was great for me because I'm still pushing to a quarter mil.
Almost there. Good job, buddy. Do you think, though, having this now transition over into this new subscription service, what does this mean for the future of Syphon Filter? Will we get another one, Scott? I honestly think Sony Ben is working on another one right now.
I think there might be some sort of project in development because there'd be a lot of learning to happen from poking those little, hey, does anybody have interest in Syphon Filter? How about stealth games in general? And it's all kind of building towards something. That would make a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Scott, what does make sense is the future of Halo. Does it make sense?
That's a good question.
Why don't you take this one, Scott? I want you to take this one because you've been on Halo lately.
Yes, now I gotta spend a little bit more time on Halo, admittedly, but Lone Wolves Season 2 of Halo Infinite is less than 2 short weeks away. This is coming from Halo Waypoint specifically, the source of all sources for Halo. We have a lot of new exciting content coming to the game, starting on May 3rd with the Season 2. Last week, we took a look at Season 2's 2 new maps, Catalyst and Breaker. Yeah. And today we're exploring 3 new game modes and additional variants. So there's some new old modes, if that makes sense here. King of the Hill, no real explanation needed on that one. We've played King of the Hill before. Land Grab, it's kind of like territories where there's 3 points on the map. You take over each point. But where this is new is that will open up 3 new points somewhere else on the map.
That's
so it's
cool.
kind of like it's like domination but with a shifting point system.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Then we have Last Spartan Standing, which is the talked about battle royale right now, and there's a lot of contention amongst the fans here. But let me hear the hit the little description they put. So, Last Spartan Standing is based around the Lone Wolves theme of Season 2. In this free-for-all experience, 12 players, that's a key number there, spawn on big team battle maps with a confined loadout and 5 respawns. Okay, this is a little different. Once a player runs out of respawns, they can no longer participate. They can either spectate or leave the match without penalty. If a player gets a kill in the match, they can upgrade to a different weapon, something players of Escalation Slayer will no doubt be familiar with. Yeah, if you've played any gun game in Call of Duty, it's going with that model. If I
Yeah.
use this dinky little pistol to shoot you, now I have an assault rifle, and then it goes higher and higher. Now, 5 respawns makes it quite unique. This is not the battle royale of old. And there's a
No.
lot of debate as to whether this classifies as a battle royale, which
Yeah,
I
well,
believe it does. Well, battle royale, everybody. So there's a couple different thoughts on this. I want to try and present the different sides because I think they're both fair.
sure.
One group believes that battle royale is coming from the movie Battle Royale, which did require 100 participants, and that's a great movie, by the way. If nobody has seen it, I have. It's awesome. But they then point to Fortnite. You know, we have 100 people on the map, Warzone, 100 people on the map. But that's not always true. In the case of Apex, it's 64. And if you go back even further, Dying Light, which may be the first video game battle royale, had 6 players in it.
Yeah.
Kind of more of a Hunger Games thing, which is also a battle royale and does not require 100 players. So the rules behind battle royale are quite varied. I believe this fits into it, although it is somewhat underwhelming for what we were expecting.
I think
12 players is quite small.
I think that's the biggest expectation letdown. I think when people heard the rumblings of a battle royale getting put into Halo, they weren't expecting 12 players, right? They were expecting. I didn't think we'd get 100. I kind of thought maybe we'd be
canonically there should not be 100 of them unless there's Spartan 4 project that I don't believe exists. We go from one lone Master Chief floating around in the dust to 100 in one area shooting each other, of all things. It doesn't fit canonically.
No, I get that, right? But when you mention the words battle royale, you automatically just skyrocket to 100 players, right? 100 people jumping out of a plane or whatever they're jumping out of at the time, a battle bus, who knows, right? And that's what you kind of get into. Apex comes along, they change up the formula, they drop it to 60, 64. And from there you go, teams of 3, right? No longer are you teams of 4 now, you're teams of 3. PUBG had teams of 4. Fortnite, Call of Duty, your teams of 4. Now you get into Apex, your teams of 3. They change the size of that, smaller map kind of thing. And over here, when it comes into Halo, we were all questioning what are they going to do when it comes to a battle royale scene. Should they have a battle royale? Absolutely. It's one of the hottest genres around right now. Why wouldn't they implement that into the game and maybe boost up the player base? Because we just recently talked about how that kind of is tapering off a little bit, right? And expectations of the multiplayer now have really just kind of fizzled out. So moving forward, bring in a battle royale. Dude, 12 players is not what I expected, though. That's the biggest thing.
I think it solves a problem that they were faced with, which is how do you make a map big enough for 100 players, design that. There's a lot of work that has to go into it.
Absolutely.
You could use sections of the single player, and that's where I would have began. But this, in this case, uses big team battle maps, which are designed for, I believe, 18, possibly 24 players. I clearly have to play more Halo.
It's been a while since I've been in myself. But that's it. I kind of thought they'd lend it to a higher player count, right? I didn't expect 12. I was expecting 30.
It would be
maybe
very
more
chaotic. I think they've spoken about the testing, and they found that people were just not fighting. If there's too many players on the map, you kind of find a corner, lock it down, and that's what most people played. And that would just extend the game out too long. It wasn't the exciting kind of fast-paced thing that they were going for.
That's fair. I'm definitely curious to see how this plays out. We'll be jumping in, checking it out. I think everybody will be. And then will players stick around, Scott, is the other question.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, the one last thing to mention, there's no weapons on the map. You can only acquire weapons by leveling yourself up with kills. So nobody's going to be guarding the rocket launcher.
No, that's fair. But if you suck at shooting, you're in trouble. So we'll see what happens potentially with that game. But Scott, let's move on to the world of Uncharted. As Uncharted games for PS5 potentially leaked by Naughty Dog. Logan, more over a comic book. It looks like Naughty Dog could be in the process of working on new games in the Uncharted series for PlayStation 5 at this moment. Oh, let's go. While the studio technically just released a new installment earlier this year with Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, which we reviewed on the show, so make sure you swing by InsideTheGame.ca or ITG Reviews. A new mainline entry in the franchise hasn't come about since 2017. Uncharted The Lost Legacy, which is a fantastic game, Scott. So it's been a while, right? That's the biggest thing.
Now, is that the 5th title?
So
Lost Legacy?
Lost Legacy was DLC content for Uncharted 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was after the story ended with Drake, and you move on to Chloe and I can't remember the villain. Oh my goodness,
that was the Thief's End. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
That's another game series I've always really wanted to play.
So
but I'm on Team Tomb Raider. I can't hide from that.
Well, that's fair. Fortunately, it looks like Naughty Dog is definitely doing something with Uncharted based on a new leak. According to a recent post from a Naughty Dog recruiter by the name of Christina Marie Drake McBurty, the studio is currently looking to bring aboard new developers to work on Uncharted. In a recent post on LinkedIn, McBurty talked about what she'll be doing with Naughty Dog moving forward. In doing so, she also happened to mention that Uncharted is clearly something the studio is focusing on. Quote, "This opportunity will allow me to better fuse my talents and experience with HR operations, business strategy, and recruiting my passion for video games and entertainment. It's even more special being able to build future teams for not only new titles, but for the legacy of Uncharted, which is very personal and specific to me and my family." End quote. Scott, blatantly right there, dude. There's another Uncharted game in the works.
Oh, that's definitely good news for gaming at large, because I don't know if Uncharted has ever made a misstep.
Well, no. So some wager back and forth between which one was better. Was it Uncharted 2 or Uncharted 3? And there's a big war between everybody. But either way, Uncharted is a fantastic. Northern Nerdcast said sequel to Lost Legacy. Ooh, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. I think we'll get a brand new Uncharted game.
That's kind of what I was wondering, and I know you have certain story knowledge of the game that I do not. But I'm wondering, was it open to a sequel, or is this a prequel, or could it be a possible side story? You mentioned a potential villain. Do you think they're going to go that route and kind of flip you around?
So here's the thing: the next Uncharted, I don't think it's Drake. No. I really don't. If you played Uncharted 4, you know how that ended and where it left off. And I don't think it's Drake we're going to be playing as. I think it's somebody else.
I want to be on the enemy side and just watch waves and waves of my men drop to Drake. The Doomslayer.
Golden Abyss sequel. No, that's not going to happen. That was a Ben Studio game, which was a good game on Vita. Rest in peace. But it's I think we're going to get into a brand new reimagined version of what we're going to expect for the future of Uncharted. I think this is where they start building up the next legacy of Uncharted. I think Drake's story is done. I think he's going to move on and basically retire, right? That was kind of the whole premise of 4, is that he was retired. And then he got called and kind of pushed back into the swing of things.
Is he like Sam Fisher? He can never truly retire.
Well, I think you'll see. Mission, Sam. You'll have little cameos of Drake, but I don't think he'll be the main protagonist for the game. I think it's going to be somebody else within the Drake family.
I really want to see a crossover. I want to see Tomb Raider cross Uncharted and just get the two of them together in an adventure. Yeah. That would be really cool to me. 2-player possibility. I've got ideas. Well,
speaking of ideas, Scott, the next one continues on with more Naughty Dog. The rumored The Last of Us remake studio is working on a banger of a game, according to one employee. This comes from Hope Bellingham from Games Radar. Sony's secretive PlayStation Studios visual arts development team is apparently working on a banger of a game, with some speculating that it could be The Last of Us remake. I don't know if that's what we're going to get into here, Scott, but as a Twitter user recently pointed out via VGC, PlayStation animator Robert Morrison has given a tiny hint as to what the elusive PlayStation Studio is currently working on. Dating back as far as March 22, 2022, Morrison has put out a number of tweets giving small insights into what they and the rest of the team are up to these days. One of Morrison's tweets featured the phrase, quote, PlayStation has some bangers coming out this year, end quote. According to the animator's LinkedIn page, they currently work on PlayStation Studios' visual arts. That, back in 2018, was announced as, quote, a new game development team in partnership with a major Sony studio, end quote. This was possibly links to Morrison's other tweets, which says they have been working on a secret project for the last 3 to 5 years, Scott. No kidding. So, dude, we got to be like close to getting something then, right? Prior to this, Morrison previously worked on as a senior animator at Santa Monica Studio, the PlayStation Studio developer behind God of War. Scott, what could they be working on?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. I'm not certain what kind of projects they've worked on other than The Last of Us, really.
Well, so Naughty Dog has been obviously Uncharted. We got The Last of Us. We got Jack and Daxter. Can we get a Jack and Daxter reboot?
Oh,
like you want to bring some fans back from way back in the day, from PS2 to PS3. Yo, give us a Jack game. We've all been asking for it. They were initially working on a Jack and Daxter game and then scrapped it and moved on to The Last of Us.
Okay.
Come on. Like
it would be a very good thing to bring back. Yeah, no, Jack and Daxter, that would fit with the banger because it's going to make a huge wave among fans.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing, right? We've seen the rise of, rumblings of Spyro coming back. Crash has made a comeback. Tony Hawk has made a comeback. So
Spyro did Skylanders though, so it kind of had a brief stint.
It did have a brief stint for a while, right? But there are possibilities of, man, can we get another Jax game, or is it something completely entirely different? There's rumblings of them. I want to say it was Naughty Dog. I heard is working on a sci-fi game, which is completely out of the. Almost completely out of the realm, but as of late, anyways, it's out of the realm of what Naughty Dog has recently been working on with Uncharted and The Last of Us. But who knows what happens too? But there's a lot going on in the world of Naughty Dog, and I'm waiting on like pins and needles to see what else is coming out. Right, we're waiting for The Last of Us multiplayer for part 2 to come around. They've been working on that one for developing for probably 3 to 5 years. So where's that at, right? And you can catch an interview this week with Sabrina. She's an animator Sabrina Phillips is an animator at Naughty Dog. We actually sat down and talked to her about her journey into the video game space. But not once did we talk about Uncharted or Last of Us, unfortunately. Maybe next time. But it was all about her and her journey into the space. It was just a fantastic interview. So don't miss that coming up on this week's show.
Is there a possibility of a Jack and Daxter remaster?
So they did that once, like way back in the day. And you can find that.
I'm hoping for Jack 2, really.
Oh man, that was awesome. Wasn't it awesome? Scott, what else is awesome? Is a couple games out today. What do we have?
We have Turbo Overkill. It has entered PC early access. It is available on PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, Xbox One, and Series consoles. We have Ganryu 2, Hakuma Kojiro. I think I got that right. That is on PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One.
Works for me.
Drew usually trusts my pronunciation.
Way better than mine.
Evasion from Hell is on PC, Switch, and Xbox One. I think this is one that I was interested in several months ago. We have Ao the Clown on Linux, Mac, PC systems, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, and Series consoles. Linux, man. Every time I read that, I think I remember Linux. Only in those moments. Then we have Makoko X is on PC, Switch, and Xbox One.
That's not a bad day at all, Scott. Dude, that's going to wrap up today's show. Don't forget, everybody, we'll be live over on Twitter Spaces over on the official ITG. Swing by at 1 p.m. Eastern. Join in on the conversation. We'll be talking about all kinds of games and what we've been up to and what we're playing. But this has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. It's Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.